Welcome back. In this video, we will learn about variables and data types, casting, dynamic typing. Remember, this is the second video on the playlist titled Python Beginner Boost. And in the last video, we have learned about what is Python, why choose Python, how to install Python in VS Code on your operating system along with the print statement and comments in Python. As you can already see, I have added some comments in my Python file, and let's try to recall what we have learned in the last video. We have learned about print statement, so we will quickly try to print our name on the screen. So let's do that. So print, and I will write my name Shubham Lashkan, and as you already see, I have created a folder for the second day along with a file. So the folder name is day 2 and the file is what we are learning. So we are learning about variables. That's why I have given the name as variables.py. Let's execute the code, and for executing the code you have two options. One is the command line option, and the second one is to run from this run without debugging. So let's do with command line python and python 3 space the name of the file variables dot py, and I hope Shubham Lashkan will be printed on the screen. As you can see, it is already printed. Now let's learn about variables. So in Python or in any programming language, variables are used to store and manipulate data. Every variable has a name and a value, and the value can be of different data types. Understanding variable and data type is essential as they form the foundation of any programming language. So let's explore variable and data types in Python. So to create a variable in Python, you need to assign a value to it using the equal to operator. Here is an example. So let's create a variable called name, and we will assign some value to it. So for assigning a value, you have to use equal to operator and then the value. So here we are assigning a name which is a text value, so we will use a double quotes for it, and here we will write our value. So here the value of name is Shubham Lashkan. As you can see, we have assigned the value. Now let's try to print this value. So for that we have to use print, and now instead of directly writing my name here, we will use this variable to print the value. So I will use name here, and let's save the code and go to our terminal and press the up arrow key, so it will automatically detect the last command which we executed, and the last command which we executed is to run this Python file. So it is already loaded. Let's click on enter, and you can see my name is printed here. Now let's create one more variable which will be of the type number. So let's create a variable called age, and it will store a number, and for storing a number you don't need to give those double quotes. So let's write a number 25, and let's also try to print it. So printing it will be the same, print and then the name of the variable. So the name of the variable is age. Let's save it and try to execute it again. So for executing, let's again go to our terminal and click on Python, press the up arrow key, so you will have the command loaded, and just click on enter, and you can see my name along with the age is printed. And if you don't know how to bring this terminal, you have to go to top terminal and click on new terminal, and this screen will open. And also I have increased the font size so you don't have any issue seeing what I am writing on the screen. So let's also add some comment. Here we have added one variable which is of type data type text, or we say it as string. So it is string data type. So string is nothing but anything which is a text value. So here we are writing a complete text like characters Shubham Lashkan, and here the second is age which is of type number. So data type is number. Let's understand about the third data type, which is our floating point number. So what are floating point number? Numbers with decimal points are called as floating point number. So let's add one comment, floating point number. So let's name it as salary, and let's give some salary 25,000, and there will be some values after the decimal, as you can see. And now let's try to print it on screen. So print salary, as you can see. Now I will execute the code and it will be printed on screen, as you can see here. Let me make it a little bit big. So my name, age, and a salary is printed on the screen. Now let's learn about one more data type, which is boolean. So boolean data type stores true or false value. So the next is boolean, and it can be let's name it as result, and it can be true. So as you can see, we have to write it on capital. The T should be the capital. Now let's try to print it. So print the result, and as you can see, the boolean will only have two values. It can be true or false. So let's execute the code and see if it is printed. True is printed, and it can only store one more value, which is false. Let's execute the code again, and now false will be printed on the screen, as you can see. Now we have already discussed about four data types, which are text, which is string data type, then number, then floating point number, and boolean. And for creating a variable, you have to give some name to the variable. So here in this example, the name of the variable is name, and the value, which is the value which we want to store in those variable. So here in age, I want to store 25. So I have created the name variable with the name age, and always use some meaningful name, so anyone who will see your code will be able to understand why this variable is created and what should be stored in this variable. Now let's learn about the next concept, which is type conversion or casting. So Python provides function to convert variable from one data type to another. These functions include int, float, and str, which is string. So let's try to convert a decimal point or floating point number into integer. So I will have, let me create one variable called percentage, and it will store 75.20. Now if I want to convert it into an number or integer, then I have to use int method provided by Python. So let's use it. So I will print, and here we have to use int and the variable which we want to convert into integer. So we want to convert percentage into integer. So we will write the name of the variable percentage, and once it is executed, it will only have the value 75. It will not print 0.20. Let me execute the complete code. So let's execute it. As you can see, 75 is printed. Let me comment the above code because it may confuse you. Let me add hash in front of them, so that those line of code are not executed and they will be skipped by the interpreter. So I have commented them, and now let me try to execute it once again, and you will see only 75 is printed. So this is how you convert a floating point number or a decimal into an integer. Let's try to convert a string into an integer and see what we will get. So string will be message, and the message will be again, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Let's try to convert it into integer or float. Let's try to convert it into float and see what will be the result. And it is message. Let's save it and run our code. As you can see, we are getting some error because we will not be able to convert a string into float. It can't be possible. So that's a wrong thing. We will not do that. Okay. Now the next part is, let's try to convert an integer into a float. So I am having one integer called xyz. So I am using some useless name, but you should always use some meaningful name, so it will be easy to understand for your team. And the integer will be 100, and let's try to print the floating point of this integer. So you may already know, when we try to convert a integer into a float, then decimal, and then zeros will be added after it. So let's execute the code and you will see. Okay, I have to just comment this part because it is producing some errors. Let's execute it again, and now you can see 100.0 is printed. It is converted into a decimal type. So we have learned about the variables, the data types, and then we have also learned about type conversion or casting the variable from one data type to another data type. As you can see, we have tried to convert a floating point into an integer. We are trying to convert a string into a float, and we have also tried to convert an integer into a float. Let's try to convert an integer into a string. So let's see if we use str function here and let's execute the code, what we will get. And you can see now 100 is printed. That point 0 is not like applied here. Now the next point which we need to discuss is, let me go on to the top. So variable and data type we discussed, casting we already discussed, and now we need to learn about dynamic typing. So what is dynamic typing in Python? So this means you can reassign variables to different data types. Python uses dynamic typing. Let's see an example. So reassigning different data type values to a variable in Python works because Python is dynamically typed language. Python infers the data type based on the value assigned to the variable. So what it means is, suppose here the variable is xyz equal to 100. Let me just remove this line. And now if I want to store some value of other data type, like here I want to store xy00 xyz, and I want to store here subscribe, then it will be stored. Let me also print these values so you will get what I am saying. So first we are trying to store 100 on the variable called xyz, and now we are trying to store subscribe on xyz. Let's save the code and execute it, and as you can see 100 is printed, also subscribe is printed here. 100 is printed and subscribe is printed. Let me just remove the comment from, let me just add the comment here so you will not get confused, and also clear the console so it will look fresh. So I have cleared the console by using the command clear clear, and let's use python3.variables.py and execute it. And you can see I have tried to store the values of different data type into a same variable, which is possible in Python because it is a dynamic type language. Python supports it. It will never give an error. So if I want to like give a value called true to it, which is a boolean value, then we will be able to do that. Let me try to save it and execute the code. Then true will also be printed and we will not get any error on our terminal. As you can see 100 subscribe true is printed. Let's also do one more thing. We have also learn about floating points. So let's try to give 100.2345 and print it also, and then we will complete this video here. Let's try to execute it, and here you can see a variable which is named xyz is able to store a value of any data type. Because Python is a dynamic type language, Python supports storing values of different data type into a same variable, but the value will be overwritten. Like first the value of xyz is 100, then we try to save store subscribe into this variable, then 100 is overwritten with the subscribe, and but we are not getting any error because Python is a dynamic type language. So that's it in this video. In this video we have learned about variables. So variables are a mechanism to store some values on them. Data types are the type of data which we can store on those variable. Casting is how to convert a variable into from one data type to another data type, and dynamic typing is that Python supports storing values of different data type into a same variables. That's it in this video. If you learned something new today, then please subscribe to my YouTube channel and share with your friend, and also share your learnings on the social media channels like Twitter and LinkedIn or Instagram, and use the hashtag Python beginner boost. That's it in this video. Thank you very much.